Okay, so this is a follow-up video to the unboxing. Um, Shout out to Gercules, who mentioned in the comments that he'd like to see something in regards to the setup and the performance. Um, I did set up the PC already. It's pretty basic as far as, just plugging in the peripherals, monitors, etc., and going through the Windows setup. Uh, Once you get in the Windows, then you can kind of do whatever you want to do. I've installed a few bits of software, um, and it just consists of like Steam and Epic Games, MSI Afterburner, and Core Thermal Monitor. Just so I keep an eye on temperatures. So once the setup is over, we'll take a look at the BIOS, see what version we're running. Um, So what I'll do is I'll do a quick restart and we'll get into the BIOS, see what's going on there. All right, so after the restart, when your motherboard logo comes up, you just hit F2 or delete, depending on your motherboard. On this one, it's F2 or delete. If it's, Asus or MSI or something like that, and there's a different key, then you'll use that key to jump into the BIOS. So here's where we can see what version we're running right now. So it's the 1702. And then you have other menus in here. And there's a bunch of diagnostics on the main page. Odds are, if we're going in to mess with the power settings for the CPU, we're gonna end up in this advanced mode in order to do that. But there's just a lot of like generic information. So there's your processor, your memory. Here's a breakdown of your memory. Looks like it's XMP. It looks like XMP is already enabled, so that's good. That's the way it came out of the box. Like I said, I haven't been in here. This is your hard drives, your fans. So if we do go to flash this, we'll be using this instant flash button right here. So this is our BIOS. Main thing I wanted to see was what version we were running. It was 1702, so we're gonna jump over to Asrock's motherboard website for this motherboard and see if they have an updated BIOS version. This could be the right one, the most latest one. I don't know yet though, so we'll go find out in a second. All right, so I jumped over to Asrock's website to get the latest version. So all I did was just Google, the Asrock 790C BIOS update. Once you get into their website, you're gonna go to support, and you're gonna look at BIOS. And as we can see right here, 17.02 is the latest version. It came out in January of 2025, and it explicitly states it's the update for the Intel microcode. So we have the latest version of the motherboard BIOS, so we don't need to change that. The only other thing we've got to check is what Intel's specs are on the 14900 and see what they're set to in the motherboard. On a side note, like when I did the unboxing, I didn't show anything complete or plugged in. I'm using the peripherals that came with the CyberPowerPC, i.e. their keyboard and their mouse, and they're fine. So this is what it looks like powered up. It's just RGB. I'm sure you could change it from flashing from rainbow colors to a solid color. It doesn't really bother me, so I don't care enough to go looking for that. But we'll check out the power settings for Intel real quick, and then we'll see what they're set to and if we can adjust those to Intel specs. So this is the spec page for the 14900KF, the processor that came in the CyberPowerPC. So basically, this is what we want to look at right here. The processor base power is 125 watts. That seems really low, but this is their specs. And the max turbo power is 253. So what we have to do is we have to see what these settings are in the BIOS for the processor. I'm willing to bet that they are set to automatic, which is pretty much the highest. So that may be where the issues run in with the thermal issues. I also assume that by adjusting these to Intel specs, we're going to lose some frame rate or processing power. So maybe I'll do a quick Cinebench before I change it to Intel specs, and then that way we'll have a better understanding of what we went from versus what we went to. And what I'll do is, while Cinebench is running, I'm gonna open up the core monitors, the core temp monitor software that I downloaded. Just keep an eye on temperatures when Cinebench is running, to see if we're running hot or anything like that. So I just downloaded the latest version, Cinebench 2024, and we'll start the test now. This is, estimating to take about 10 minutes. I'm not gonna keep you watching that. I'll come back when it's done. Real quick, while this is still running, it hasn't been very much time. You can see there's still over 9 minutes remaining. I just wanted to kind of give you a quick glimpse of this core temp. This is what it looks like. It takes the temperatures of all the cores of the CPU and it monitors them throughout the processes. It'll do the same thing when you're gaming, etc. So you can actually keep an eye on this stuff. But yeah, we'll run the Cinebench, see what our stats are, and then we'll make some changes and see what happens afterwards. So that finished. That was actually the GPU test. I'm gonna do the CPU test now. So the CPU is running, this is NVIDIA's on-screen monitor. So CPU is running at 99%. And this is what's going on with the thermals right now. You can see some of the cores are getting hotter, and they're getting up over 80 degrees Celsius. There goes 90. What we need to worry about here is those digits turning red. So that's why I wanted to run these tests to see what happens. We'll see what happens after this finishes, because this is also about a 10-minute test. But right out of the gate, it's already, over 80, 90 degrees Celsius on certain cores. So that's what I wanted to see. Okay, so that test finished. The CPU is no longer under any load, but what I am going to say is, outside of a couple of spikes in the low to mid 90s throughout the process, there was no red. It didn't throttle or anything like that. So I don't even know that I'm going to adjust these settings for the power draw, only because the BIOS is updated to the current version, and that microcode was part of that BIOS update. So I believe that did do the trick. I am going to do another different stress test before I make that decision, but based on what I was seeing during this Cinebench test, I don't know that it may be necessary. The computer's not, it's not crazy, blowing crazy hot air. It's not whining. It's not, it's responding really well. So I'm going to do another test and see what happens. Okay, so Cinebench finished. So I'm gonna try this Silver Bench. It's an online tester. I want to see what happens with the core temperatures, and then we'll move on from there.